Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin,
I'm Ray.
and we're here to talk about
Space.
space, or as they say in Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, the space between spaces.
The world between worlds?
Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. You never watched it?
I watched
I failed
one
you.
of the Indiana Jones movies.
I have
Cannot
failed you.
recall which. I had to watch it for school.
They showed Indiana Jones to you in school?
I went to a film college.
Oh, I thought you meant like high school or
No.
something.
We did watch A New Hope in high school, though.
Oh,
We had to do a report on it and compare it to the Epic of Gilgamesh.
yeah. We didn't get to do that for I think the closest thing to like a cool movie that we got was, well, actually no, but I did get Star Wars to be the theme for our homecoming dance my sophomore year. So
Nice.
student council coming at you.
Yeah, no, we had to do a compare and contrast between A New Hope and the Epic of Gilgamesh, and one of those was very boring. I bet you can guess which one. It was Star Wars.
Oh wow! Okay, wow, wow. All right. Okay. Well, for news this week, honestly, there's not that much going on. Again, we are in the slow season, but there's always Star Wars things to talk about. For example, I just finished all of the certain point of view novels on Audible, from a New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. If you haven't read those or listened to those, they're amazing. It's characters that we see on screen in all these movies for maybe like 5 seconds, or or for a very short period of time, and you get their entire backstory of why they're there, and they're amazing, and it definitely makes me look at the films in a very different way now, because now when I go back, I'm going to be like, here's the cantina. All these characters have a purpose here. Like now we actually know why that they're there, and a bunch of it actually ties into Han Solo and the cantina of why a bunch of the aliens are there, and it's a very interesting take and a different look at Star Wars, and I really enjoy it. Not everyone enjoys that type of novelization of where it jumps from character to character to character, and it's not a continuing story. But because the whole book is about a movie, the story continues where you can kind of fill in the gaps and everything.
It's a collection of short stories, right?
Yeah.
And are they canon or what if
Some of them are
scenarios?
canon and some of them aren't.
How do you tell the difference?
Pablo Hidalgo wasn't very specific, and Matt Martin either. They were just like, some are canon, some are not.
That's not fair. You guys say which
Right,
ones are.
Right. And that's my argument for in Return of the Jedi, there's like two in that novel there are two things, well, actually a couple of things in there that's just like, is this canon? Because, for example, Max Rebo, again, I know, in like the second chapter, Max Rebo's got 2 legs, and then they've changed the type of music from it's jizz to now jets.
Yeah.
And again, not everything is, some things are canon and some things aren't canon, but they're not telling you of which is which is, I think, is the thing that people are forgetting about these novels.
Yeah, I don't like that. I either want it to be all canon or not canon.
Yeah.
Or at least to specify.
Yeah.
I want to know what's real and what's not.
Yeah. And then there's also this one part in the Return of the Jedi novel where it pans into like the point of view of the Sarlacc pit, and he basically sounds like Crush the Turtle from Finding Nemo. He is a vegetarian and he's a pacifist. He like does not want to eat anyone. And the opening of the, if you listen to Audible, it's so funny. And it's really cool because they add the sound effects and everything as well as the story's going. So if they're talking about a a X-wing story of where they're going into the battle. Like you actually hear like the battle going on in the background as they're talking
Now,
about it.
do they have different narrators for each
Yes,
story? Okay.
yes, yeah.
So it's not just one person narrating it. Do they have different like voices, or is it one person doing different voices?
They are each narrator is doing different voices depending on the character.
Okay.
But the Sarlacc pit is just like, stop putting people in my mouth, man. God, I didn't give you consent. And it's just like, what?
I love
What
the
is
idea
happening?
of a sentient Sarlacc pit.
Yeah. And that story was also interesting as well, just because it talked about the Sarlacc kind of floating in space.
Mm.
And then it actually lands on Tatooine, like it discovers it. But back in the day, because these creatures are like thousands of years old, when it first came to Tatooine, it wasn't a desert planet; it was a jungle planet, and
Mm.
it dug itself in the ground. And then all of a sudden, years later, it woke up, and so much time went by that the planet kind of died out and became the desert planet that we know and love, and some people hate because we go there all the time. But yeah, no, those stories are very interesting. I think the narrators for it are fantastic. I love those books.
Now, are they planning on doing the rest of the Skywalker saga?
I'm glad you brought that up because they did hint. So at the end of each one, they have the writers of the wills, kind of come in, and they kind of do like a skit of being like, these guys are writing the stories of like A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. And they did hint at in their skit that, how about we continue 30 years later to Force Awakens and Snoke, coming in and all that stuff. But then one guy was like, well, how about we go back to the beginning and we talk about politics and Darth Maul and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I think they'll go, like, I don't know when, but probably in a couple of years or so, they'll probably go to, they'll probably end up doing the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. And I love these stories because it shows you different points of view of different characters that you see on screen.
Yeah.
Wildrow Hood, the guy famously known as the guy who has like the ice cream maker.
Yes.
He has a whole story.
Oh, I love that so much.
Yeah, in Empire. And it's just like, okay, now we know where his mindset was. And he was on his way to Black Spire Outpost, to Galaxy's Edge.
Do we know what the ice cream maker was
in
universe?
Well, in universe, it's a Camtono. It's a safe.
Okay.
So, and we actually see it open in the first episode of The Mandalorian.
Yes. I'm so glad they brought that back. That was so funny.
Yeah. Yep. So it's so cool. So if you guys haven't yet, check those out. And then getting ready for Acolyte, I didn't really jump on the bandwagon right away about the High Republic stuff, but because there's the show Acolyte coming out, I really wanted to understand the stories of when they do come out.
When does that take place again?
It takes place around the 200. It takes place. Yeah, the High Republic takes place about 200 years before the events of the prequels and the Skywalker saga.
Okay.
But for Acolyte, it sounds like it's going to be at the end of the High Republic era. So it's going to transition into what we see in the prequels. And
okay, so that's like a setup to the prequels, whereas the one that goes, the movie that we're going to get that goes way back, that's like thousands of years.
26,000 years.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. But the High Republic is actually very interesting. I just started listening to the first book, Light of the Jedi. It's, in a way, it's kind of like a certain point of view because it jumps from different points of views of like characters, but it doesn't do it just once. Like they go back and forth, forth. And the great thing about these books, when you listen to them on Audible, it does have those sound effects of when you are, listening to them talk. You also hear the the blaster sounds, the lightsaber sounds, ships flying. If they're in a cantina, you like hear like the background music and noise and stuff like that. It's very, very cool. It's very immersive. And if you have like a like a huge thing of imagination going around in your brain, it definitely helps listening to these books because you can picture what's happening.
Yeah. Now, because it switches perspectives,
Yeah.
does each perspective have their own narrator, or is it one narrator?
It's one narrator. It's for the Light of the Jedi. It's the person narrating the entire thing is Mark Thompson. He sounds fantastic. He did a couple of the stories in a certain point of view, but he changes his voice for each character, so
Yeah.
it's not just like, here is this Jedi, he talks like this, like he for certain characters he really deepens his voice and
Yeah.
just does this different voices, and again really immerses you in the story. So I highly recommend listening to these books, any Star Wars book on Audible, just because it really draws you in and it really immerses you. I know some people like to sit down and read a book, but for me, I like to, be very, very distracted by the book and some of my surroundings. So when I hear a lightsaber going off and then the person's talking, I'm immersed in that because I'm
Yeah.
picturing in my head.
My friend Noe recently kind of introduced me to listening to the audiobook and reading at the same time.
I was thinking about that.
I recently did that with the last book that I read and totally recommend it. I had to listen to it on 1.5 speed because the narrator was super slow. But why I had asked if there's different narrators for the different perspectives. I'm not going to say what book it is so I don't spoil anything. But at the end of the book, it randomly switches perspectives. So it's a female narrator the whole time. And then all of a sudden it says like chapter 39 and it's a male's voice. I jumped out of my seat. I was not anticipating that switch.
Is this a Star Wars novel or something?
No, it's something else.
Okay. But yeah, so check out those novels and get ready for Acolyte by diving deeper into the lore of the High Republic, because there is going to be a lot of callbacks to the actual books. Some characters from the books will be in the show, and I suspect there will be some events that will kind of carry on from the books into the show as well. And if you haven't seen the trailer, it's probably online somewhere. I watched it again recently because it came over my feed. Have you seen the trailer?
Not.
Okay, I can show you if it's still up. But it's very. It definitely screams prequel vibes, but also it's got aliens. It's got that Jedi philosophy and so much into it because it's the prime of the Jedi. We are now in the time of the Peacekeepers, and it's a very interesting time because George Lucas said that that the prequels was when like the Jedi were in their prime, but now they've changed it to where they're not soldiers, they're peacekeepers. They are doing what the Jedi are really meant to be, and they're not corrupted by the Senate. They are for the Republic. They are for the people. And we actually kind of see Count Dooku. He's trying so hard to stay strong for the Republic, but to me, I think Count Dooku felt like he lost that the Jedi really lost their way, and they really fell out completely of what they were doing in the High Republic era, which was, being peacekeepers. And now you come to the prequels and you got Mace Windu and the rest of the Jedi Council just kind of being summoned by the Senate, and they're like, hey, this is happening, we don't like this, go and do our dirty work. And sometimes you would find out that not everything that the Senate is doing is good, and Count Dooku saw right through that. That's why he left the Jedi Order. And I think that he would have thrived during the High Republic era. I don't think he would have seen any flaws because of the stuff that I'm reading in Light of the Jedi. I'm like, this is what the Jedi like to me truly are, and what their purpose is, not being corrupted by the Senate and being pawns of the Chancellor.
Yeah, I know those books seem to be pretty popular at the library that I work at. We have High Republic books in both kids and teens graphic novels and junior novels and adult sci-fi. I'm not sure that we have them in teen or not.
There's also comics too.
Yeah.
There are comics. But yeah, no, I am beyond excited the for the future, but the past of Star Wars because
Yeah.
it takes place, during the High Republic era. So I am ecstatic. I am super excited for this new era of Star Wars because I think not everyone is ready for it because we've been so used to seeing stormtroopers and maybe seeing a cameo from Luke Skywalker or Anakin or something like that. So going into an era where maybe the biggest cameo that we'll probably see is Yoda is going to be very cool because we're getting in territory that we don't really know that much about. And I think that's the beauty of Star Wars is that the galaxy isn't just happening and the galaxy is not just surrounded by everything that the Skywalkers do. There is more out there. There is unexplored, untapped potential, and that is what the High Republic era is. But yeah, so I'm very, very excited.
Sweet.
Yeah, there you go.
So what's next?
Well, people really liked your they really liked your comment about people falling.
Oh boy.
What other things in Star Wars do you because of it's so funny to me and people who've been listening to the podcast for a while will know that I will say you can't put logic into Star Wars.
Yes.
You
that
honestly
was
can't.
one of your main arguments with my falling theory.
Yes. You really can't just because of there's fire in space. There's apparently there's oxygen and it's just funny when people are like, oh, that could never happen. I'm like, I'm sorry. Have you been to the Star Wars universe? Have you actually kind of walked on planets of where there's giant creatures coming out of the sand and stuff like that? Have you done that before?
I'm sorry. They're carrying around light sticks. They're carrying around fancy glow sticks and fighting with them. That is not logical.
No.
It's fun. We love it, but it's not scientifically possible, at least at this point.
Okay. So here is I want you to put yourself in this is going to be very interesting.
Okay, bring it on.
If you were in Anakin's position, would you have gone down the same path that he went, or would have you imagine it is like your number one loved one, right? And someone gave you the power to save them, but you know it's going to bring you down a dark path. Would you do it? Be honest.
I know. I'm thinking. It's really hard to say because Anakin desperately needed therapy. I think that's a huge reason why he did what he did. Now I have a therapist, so I'm already have one leg up on him. So he had a nightmare that Padme was going to die. And then decided to take that nightmare and be like, okay, it is my responsibility to prevent my nightmare from coming true. And then Palpatine was like, hey, I know you have bad dreams and I can fix them. Personally, I don't put much stock in dreams.
Okay.
So I don't know that I would.
Right, but you have to think you are a force wielder. You have a lot on your plate. You have the war going on. You have a wife to take care of.
You have a lot going on just because you have one nightmare. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Honestly, I think Anakin was you're right. It probably would have helped if he had a therapist.
Honestly, a lot of the
yeah.
Jedi needed therapy.
Yeah, but you have to think not only is Anakin, of course, with his wife, but he also has the responsibility of being the chosen one. And
Yes.
that's
That is a huge thing.
yeah.
That is something like outside of all of Star Wars, that is something that really makes me mad on Anakin's behalf is they took a 9-year-old and put the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders and
Yes.
said, "Go have fun."
Go.
And he was
Yeah.
9. You just put the entire galaxy in his hands and expect him to be normal?
Yeah.
That's going to mess a kid up.
Yep. And that's exactly what happened.
And then on top of that, because you have Qui-Gon who's like, I'll train him. Then Qui-Gon goes and dies. So now you have Obi-Wan, who's barely a Jedi Master. He basically only is because his master died. And he gets saddled with the 9-year-old with the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Who's also just the most chaotic thing ever. I don't know if it was that he was raised in the Jedi Temple, like training and all that stuff, or if he was just always that chaotic. But Anakin is a chaos agent,
yes.
for better or worse. And you gave him the weight of the galaxy with a teacher who's like brand new to this and just thought, what could go wrong?
Yeah. I just think that because I had we're diving deeper into like this really into the lore of Anakin Skywalker, but someone that I was talking to a while ago said that Anakin was born evil. And that sometimes people are just born evil and the choices that you make have already been made for you because you were born that way. And I was like, what? I was like, no, Anakin Skywalker wasn't born evil. And then he was like, well, he was created through the Force and the midichlorians. And it's not technically canon, but it is hinted at that the Emperor did create him through midichlorians. So technically, in a way, the Emperor's kind of his dad is the working theory.
I'm pretty sure that was debunked.
Yes.
That was made
right. So
declared not canon.
Right. That's why I'm saying it was a working theory.
Yeah, yeah.
And we really don't know. Like there's also Darth Plagueis that also comes into play as well.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, people say that he was made from an evil person, and then the person was like, henceforth, Anakin was born evil, and I was like, you're not born in a different way. You make your own path. You make your own choices. Now, people can influence you. Everything happening to Anakin was very. Again, there was a lot going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the war, you had this forbidden love, and then and to add on top of that, you're the chosen one, and you had your own apprentices as well. That's a lot to just kind of pile on to. Let's see. He's about 23 years old in Revenge of the Sith. So he's like in his early 20s in the Clone Wars. That's a lot.
Nope. No, thank you. Yeah, a lot of problems could have been solved if they handled raising Anakin better.
Yeah.
But to the point of like he was born evil, like evilness isn't really born, it's made.
Yeah.
It's like you aren't raised to be you aren't born to be a bad person. You're raised in your environment to be a bad person because everybody has choices that they can make. Then you also have to take into account like brain chemistry and like mental and developmental disorders kind of a thing, like psychopathy and sociology, all that sort of thing. I don't entirely know how all that works. I went to a film school. I'm not brainy.
We had our friend Hannah, and she came on during the episode, like of the pretty much like the live action Clone Wars episode 5 of
Yeah,
Ahsoka,
yeah.
and she kind of broke down what was going and like in her eyes of what was going down in Ahsoka's head and how important the scenes were between Anakin and Ahsoka, because she was trying to kind of move on and everything, but she broke it down in a very she broke it down in a very therapist way, and I was sitting there, I was like, oh my god. I was like, whoa, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that really kind of goes by people sometimes, where it's just like, yes, this is a series where the Force is real and lightsabers and starships and all that, but there's also a lot of real elements in there as well, which is, you know, being overwhelmed, stressed out, having a lot on your plate that you have to tackle all at once. That's basically summing up Anakin.
Yeah.
And he just felt the weight of not the world, but the galaxy on his
Mhm.
shoulders, because that prophecy is just like, boom, you're the chosen one. Here you are. This is your responsibility. We don't care that you don't know how to, you know, kind of bring balance back to the Force, but you're going to do it somehow.
Yeah.
And
Nobody really knows what
no.
the chosen prophecy is. Nobody really knows what's expected of you or how you're going to turn out or what you're going to be responsible for. But you're the chosen one. You have all this responsibility as a 9-year-old. Go have fun and make
Go.
all the right choices.
Go.
You are being judged by everyone. No pressure. No pressure.
And that's where I come in, the dark side of the Force. Do it. I am the Senate. You're my pawn, Anakin.
Precisely.
Dark side. Do you think the Emperor, like, just... I would have loved to see a skit of where the Emperor, where Palpatine was kind of going through that phase of being like, all right, I'm going to be the Dark Lord of the Sith. How am I going to present myself to my pawns and my future apprentice and all that stuff?
Okay. Have you watched Trevor Noah's comedy specials
No.
on Netflix? Okay.
Oh.
He has a bit where it's Obama meeting Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
And Obama's talking in like this higher pitched voice, and Nelson Mandela, because Trevor Noah is really good at impressions.
Okay.
And it's basically a scenario of Obama
yeah.
meeting Nelson Mandela, and Nelson Mandela basically teaching him how to talk in like a very persuasive and like professional manner, and he kind of like evolves his impression into what Obama sounds like today. I kind of need to see that, but Palpatine.
I mean, I'm just picturing of him just kind of preparing, and it's like, all right, I'm about to meet Darth Plagueis. How do I do this? And then he just goes to his bathroom, looks in the mirror, and he just tries voices. And he's like, I am the Senate. Nope, that doesn't sound right. And then like he just goes through like a bunch of the voices, and then like maybe like his throat gets strained, and he's like, I am the Senate.
No, there it is.
Oh, this is perfect. The dark side. Yep. This is the one. This is it. The dark side. Honey, I got it. Classic.
Yeah, no, that is. Yeah, because it's so different from his regular voice.
Well,
you know, he practiced that in the bathroom.
Well, I just think it was funny because of when you see him in the Phantom Menace, and he's, you know, a young senator, and he's just doing his thing, and then all of a sudden he's like talking to Darth Maul, and he's like, yes, like his just voice gets down, and then I'm just like, okay, how is this going to continue forward? But now imagine he gets struck by lightning. Episode 3, he has to talk like that all the time now. all the time.
Yeah.
He like has to have cough drops like in his robe somewhere. He has to be drinking honey tea.
He's Batman.
But Batman's an anti-hero. Are you
No.
Do not go full Thanos with Emperor.
No,
I'm just letting you know.
I'm talking like the Emperor, like Sidious is his Batman.
Oh, yeah.
So you got like Bruce Wayne, he's talking like normal. I'm in the Senate, blah, blah, blah. And then he's got to go be Batman. He's got to talk all serious and gravelly. But then he kind of like fully adopts the Emperor personality. And now he has to fully talk like Batman forever.
Yeah.
Do you ever think he slips up?
I am the Senate.
Just like in a casual meeting and everybody's talking. He's like, yeah, well, guys. And then they're all like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like,
guys.
What I meant to say was
something dark side. Something complete. Do it. But I also love Sam Witwer's his take on not just the Emperor but Darth Maul is fantastic as well. And in Rebels, so in the Clone Wars, Maul definitely goes through that crazy phase because he's been cut in half for so long, and he
turns into a robot scorpion man.
Spider, not scorpion.
Is it a spider? Because I feel like it was his torso, and then it had a long like robot thing. He got a couple legs.
Yeah, it's a spider. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was too freaked out. It was too disturbing, so I wasn't really looking that close. Yeah. I just saw a longer body and lots of robo legs, and I was like, I'm checked out.
Yes.
Out of here.
So.
Nope.
Spider creature. And
he's Spider-Man.
But he goes from the very calm tone to Darth Maul awaiting orders to very like high pitch of being like no, like he just goes completely insane. And then when he gets his mind back, it's just back to that very calm Darth Maul, but also like I can't even do calm Darth Maul, but
being cut in half will do that to a person.
Oh, okay. Are you talking from experience or
maybe?
Oh, spooky.
It is spooky season.
But yeah, so no, I love all the voice actors in Star Wars, and I love how we just have so many different takes. Is there any live action characters that you would prefer? Actually, you know what? This is a hot take. Do you prefer any of the versions from animation to the versions in live action? So do you personally like the animated version of Obi-Wan compared to the live action?
I prefer the animated Anakin.
Ooh, okay.
Because, I mean, it's obviously there's more time in an entire series of the Clone Wars.
Yes.
To better develop his character and get more of him.
Absolutely.
He's more fleshed out, which you don't. I mean, even though it is 3 movies, you are kind of limited.
Yeah.
And I don't think they fleshed out his character as well as they could have. But like with the Clone Wars, you have all this time to flesh out the character and his relationship to other people in the universe. And I like that a lot better. Seeing that and then taking that into account when watching the movies does add to the live action version. But I think I prefer the animated one.
Okay.
Just separately.
I agree but disagree just because of I think what Hayden did with Anakin was remarkable, and what Matt Lanter did with Anakin was also remarkable. But you're right. His character, Anakin, is more fleshed out in Clone Wars because we have more time with him.
Yeah.
But something that a lot of people don't talk about is Hayden actually wanted to voice Anakin in the Clone Wars TV show,
Oh, that would have been awesome.
but they told him no.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, I don't like that.
they wanted to go a different route. But I'm glad that that didn't stop Hayden from coming back.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
Because what he does in Ahsoka is to me, he bridged both versions of the character.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't really take you out of it. It's not like, oh, he's doing an impression of Matt Lanter. Like, it's just like that he bridged both like both versions of the character.
Yes.
And he also, which I love this, is that to prepare for coming back as Anakin, not only did he rewatch his parts and the prequels, but he also watched the entire Clone Wars series.
Yeah, I feel like
that's amazing.
I really love his portrayal in or his performance in Ahsoka because it blends perfectly the live action and the animated. It's like the perfect Anakin.
Absolutely.
And just watching his performance, I was like, that is Anakin right there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what makes it so different between the animated and the original live action, but like, it's almost like those are okay, but this is amazing.
Yeah. I cried the entire time.
I was just
I was
like,
so happy. I was over the moon. I was like, I can't believe.
I was all like just like hunched up in my chair. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it so much, and I can't wait to see what they end up doing what they end up doing in the future with it.
Yeah. I also like Hayden coming back in Obi-Wan. How you got to see him as Vader, it just made it so much more rich.
That will be one of the most, to me, it's one of the most tragic and beautiful scenes in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, it's not from the original trilogy. It's not from the movies. It's from a show. And I'm like, yeah, but Hayden did such a beautiful way of, again, bridging his version with now Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
And in the scene where you see his mask, go like that, and that's a whole other thing, by the way, which I'll get into. But when he gets his mask cut, and then you hear the voice going back and forth from Hayden to James Earl Jones, is just,
that is something I did not know I didn't want in my life.
I get chills.
It was so upsetting, like in a good way.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It was so disturbing. Like I was watching it and I was like it really like affected me, because like you're seeing this character that like you love. You're seeing Anakin, because a lot of people view Anakin and Vader as two completely separate identities, but like watching that, it's like, no, they really are one and the same. Like Anakin became Darth Vader. It doesn't mean he became a separate person, but he evolved into that. That's what he is. There is a through line there.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I always, and I think a decent amount of people think this too, is that when Anakin got done after the fight and his limbs are cut off, he then catches fire. That was the moment that he officially became Darth Vader, like right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Obi-Wan that has a fight with him, and he brings him back for a couple of seconds, because of the scene of which the lighting was fantastic on that, because when it's Anakin talking, you have the glow of Obi-Wan's lightsaber shining on him, so it's like blue. So I was like, oh, it's Anakin, he's back. And then he's like, you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did. And then as soon as he says I did, you see his eyes go back to the Sith eyes, and his lightsaber, his red lightsaber, is glowing on him. So it's like, oh, it's Darth Vader again. And then you have it in Rebels of where, are you okay with talking about this? All right, cool.
I'm gonna forget by the time I go to watch it. I promise you. I have a terrible memory.
When Ahsoka and Vader fight, Ahsoka saves Ezra, and she jumps on Vader's back and slices up his helmet. And then the other, it's not the same half of his helmet that was cut by Obi-Wan. It's the other side.
Mm.
And she brings him back for a couple of seconds. But then he's then and then Ahsoka's like, I won't leave you, not this time. There's a pause, and then he gets all Sith again, and he's like, then you will die. And he turns on his lightsaber, and then he goes to like go and kill Ahsoka. And then you go to Return of the Jedi. Luke is the only one to officially bring him back.
Yeah.
His own flesh and blood, not his friends, not his brother, not his apprentice, but his son fully brings him back. And that's how he fulfills his destiny. He fulfills the prophecy, and that's how it goes through. So I think, honestly, Vader and Anakin to me are two separate people, just because of Anakin kills anyone. I mean, Vader kills anyone that thinks that they know who Darth Vader is, which is, truly Anakin. But Vader sees himself as Vader. Anakin sees himself as Anakin.
Yeah, I think the capacity to be Darth Vader was always within Anakin.
Yes.
It was more of flipping a switch.
You definitely see that in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. So like Vader has, like, the persona we see as Vader has always been there. It just wasn't activated, I guess you could say.
Until the Emperor,
Yes.
started throwing things out like, I can help you save Padme. I can, you feel like you are being neglected by the Jedi Council. I can give you that power that you want.
Yeah.
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 All that was brought out by the Emperor.
I think it's always been there. It just hadn't been unlocked necessarily.
Yeah.
Parts of it do slip through, like you said, in the Clone Wars. And I think just like it was locked in there when it takes over and he fully becomes Vader, Anakin is now like locked in there. So it's two halves of the same coin. It just depends on which side it gets flipped to. And I think because the capacity for Anakin to be Vader has always been there, I think makes them one and the same. Now, Anakin Vader can think that Anakin is dead all he wants to help him sleep at night. I don't know. But they're both in there. They're both the same person.
Of what you're saying is true.
From a certain point of view.
I love that line. It's so good. I can use it in any situation and people will hate me for it. And I'm like, I don't care. It's there. It's canon.
I mean, honestly, you can't argue it.
Yeah.
There's no... Once you say that, there's no way for the other person to come back on that argument.
Right. Because it's just like, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm also disagreeing with you.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I am right. It's like,
oh,
no,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
From a certain point of view.
Yes.
It's like the most evil way to shut down an argument, but also like the nicest.
The dark side.
It's so passive aggressive.
Yeah.
How have I not added that to my vocabulary?
I don't know. I've been using it since day one. My mom would be like, do you want some applesauce? And then I would be like, it's good from a certain point of view. And then she would just be like, okay. What's wrong with you?
Next time somebody tries to return something way past the return by date,
yeah,
and they're like, I should get all my money back, even though that's not store policy.
Yeah.
I'll be like, what you're saying is true from a certain point of view.
Ooh.
Now that's an in-store credit at the price it's currently selling for.
I don't think people will really like that.
No. But guess what?
You don't care?
I get paid almost nothing.
Oh man, I'm so glad you are saying this publicly.
They need me more than I need. I'm not saying where I work. I have more than one job, so
okay.
They need me more than I need them, and I do need them very badly because,
wow,
money. But
okay, wow, all right. There you go. Favorite what is one of your favorite lines or
Ooh.
favorite scenes? It can be from the TV shows. It can be from the movies.
Yeah.
I've got mine locked up. I know the entire scene by heart.
Okay, you go say yours first. I'm gonna keep thinking.
Okay. It's to be honest, it's more than just one line. It's like a bunch of it's the entire monologue from Revenge of the Sith of where Obi-Wan and Anakin are kind of yelling at each other right before they fight. I know that entire scene by heart. But then there's also
Have you heard the song version?
Yes, because you sent it to me a while ago.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah,
I listen to that in the car quite frequently, so I know it very well too, but not in order because it's all mixed up. But being a song, but I know the lines.
I think one of my favorite ones, and this actually might shock people, it's from The Last Jedi, which is the one where Yoda's talking about he is talking to Luke and
the sacred Jedi texts.
Yes, it's that scene, and he's saying, and he says, "This is the fate of all masters." Man, I can't think of it. It's like my favorite line, but I'm blanking on it right now. I'm tired. Hang on, talk.
Talk. One of my favorite scenes, specifically from that movie, is the throne room fight. But specifically when the camera like pulls back and Rey and Kylo are like back to back, and it goes to like slow motion and then cuts right back into like normal speed. I don't know, there's just something about that that's kind of breathtaking. The way that they fight in sync with each other, even though they've never done that before. They've only fought against each other, and then they're just so in sync with each other.
Yeah.
That's just such a cool moment to me visually.
Let the past die.
No.
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 It's the greatest teacher failure is Luke. We are what they grow beyond. That is the true burden of all masters. Eat! Eat! Oh!
Did you just say yeet?
No, eat! Because of like in Empire.
Oh, I thought you said
yeet.
I thought you said yeet.
No. Mine!
Now you're just a seagull from Finding Nemo. What are
Seagulls,
you doing?
Stop it now.
That song is such a banger.
This is a chaotic episode.
I'm on this episode. What did you expect?
I know.
God put me on this earth to make a ruckus.
Is that the title of your autobiography?
Yeah. It's either that or I didn't sign up for this.
Oh, that's a good one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I might just have to make two.
Yep. Oh man.
Well, I don't know what my all-time favorite one is, but one of my favorite scenes is I mean, not surprisingly, where Padme reveals herself to be the queen when they go to talk to the Gungans.
I'm Queen Amidala.
Yes, but specifically, what I love the most in that scene.
Yeah.
So you have Sabe pretending to be Amidala talking to the Gungans. And as soon as Padme starts to walk forward, in the back, you can see Rabe, and she just looks at her like,
you did not just say that.
Are you kidding me? And then as she walks by Sabe just says, like, she's just like,
are you kidding me?
Like, we had a plan, and this is not the plan. Like, Padme, you had one job. I had one job, and you're not doing the one job.
And I love that all that is now tied into the book, right?
Yes.
Right. And the book came out long after that movie.
Yes.
So now when you look at that scene and you see their emotions, you know exactly what they're going through.
Yes. Rabe is definitely just full. That expression is fully true. They're just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Like, we were so close. And then Sabe's just like, What did I do wrong?
Something about that scene has nothing to do with them. It actually has to do with Boss Nass. That the entire scene of the clip of where he does like the cheek thing where he's
Yes.
like
Yes.
of that that was all improv. He was like, George, I'm gonna try something. If you don't like it,
Don't use it. Yeah.
yeah. And then George's like, okay. And then he like went and
I
did it.
love that.
And then George's like, yeah, I like it. Let's use it.
And another part that I like is right after she reveals that she's the queen, and it cuts to Anakin. And he's like, "What?" And then it cuts to Obi-Wan and and Qui-Gon, and they look like one of them just lost a bet.
Yeah.
Like it looks like Qui-Gon kind of looks at Obi-Wan like, "You owe me 50 credits."
Yep. Man.
And I'm like, at what point did they figure it out?
Well, I mean, it was Qui-Gon Jinn. This is Liam Neeson. He trained Batman.
He has a specific set of skills.
He was Zeus. He was in Taken. Yeah.
Zeus?
Yeah.
For what?
Clash of the Titans.
Oh, okay.
Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans. He was Zeus. But he was also Aslan.
Yes.
The lion.
We need to get. How is Tilda Swinton not in Star Wars?
I'm waiting for the day that she is, but I don't know who she would be. There's there's so much untapped potential
of Tilda Swinton.
Well, that and of just the storylines that they could do in Star Wars. There's so much content. Like the galaxy is massive.
Tilda is amazing. I mean, her name is Tilda Swinton.
But she
that's gotta change you as a person.
She terrified me in Narnia. I was terrified.
I have like a healthy fear respect of her.
I remember seeing her as a kid. I'm like, oh, she's so nice. She's like, she is giving the kid treats, and then all of a sudden she turns a bunch of people into ice. And before the end of the movie, I didn't read the novels before I watched the movie because I was a kid. So I was like, oh, cool. It's a movie. Great. But I thought she was just killing everyone. And I'm like, wow, this is made by Disney. And she's just turning people to ice left and right. I'm just like, okay, this is it.
Okay, but have you ever had Turkish Delight?
No.
It's horrible. It is absolutely disgusting.
Maybe to you.
I don't know why he liked it so much to trade his whole family for it. If I'm trading my whole family in, I'm going to need a lot more than Turkish Delight.
Oh my God.
I'm going to need a plane ticket and another identity.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anyway, Star Wars.
No, this does connect though. Because one of the last episodes, if not the last episode of Ahsoka, was the Jedi, the Witch, and
true.
What was it? What was the last one?
First off, it was not the lion. It was the Jedi, the Witch, and this is bad.
I took a picture of it because I was like, did Star Wars just make a Narnia joke?
You sent that to me, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's not a coincidence.
No.
The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord.
And the Warlord. Yeah.
The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
There is a lot of Lord of the Rings references in the entire Ahsoka series, but also J.R.R. Tolkien was very close friends with
C.S. Lewis.
C.S. Lewis, thank you. I was trying to think of the second thing, but yeah, C.S. Lewis, and they.
Shoot, what's his name? Dooku. What's his name? Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee. Wasn't he friends with J.R.R. Tolkien?
He was the last remaining person alive to have met him.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was also an international super spy.
Yeah. Besides J.R., J.R.R. Tolkien's kids. But yes, no.
He
Christopher
was
Lee.
the super spy in World War II.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's James Bond. That's who James Bond is based off of.
From a certain point of view, yeah.
I mean, what the heck?
Oh no. It's true.
What a legend.
Yeah.
An absolute icon.
One of his last things that he did before he passed away, he was in a rap music video.
He also had a metal band, didn't he?
He did.
That man is so amazing.
Yeah.
He's like never-ending source of mystery.
I feel like working with him on set would have been very intimidating. Because he's done a bunch of sword fights on screen and plays and stuff like that. But to, kind of directing him and saying, "Hey, this is a different like fighting style," and then you go in and he did some of it, but like he was just like, "Oh, this is really interesting. This is new." And then you have the Clone Wars to kind of like continue all that.
Yeah.
And
well, you also have the director being like, "Hey, I need you to make some noise when you get stabbed in the back." And he's like, "Do you know what a person sounds like when they get stabbed in the back?"
That's
I do.
Rings, yeah.
And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah, no. Oh man. There's so much. There are so many great actors and so many people that are part of Star Wars, and it's just phenomenal that it's all part of the same of the same thing, and you just got a bunch of different generations that are all like involved, of the actors and everything. So amazing, fantastic stuff. I think that's it for this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your second favorite character aside from Max Rebo?
Anakin Skywalker.
Okay. I should have seen that one coming.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite Star Wars character? And absolutely no judgment for me or any of the listeners, and I will fight you if you judge him for that, because different points of view.
Okay. It's probably Holdo. I didn't like her.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
She was kind of frustrating.
But
I think part of it is because she has so much history with Leia that we were not privy to at the time.
No, but also her leadership style was go and I will make this decision. I don't want to hear your input. I'm in charge. I know the type of person you are. I don't like you.
Yeah.
Go away.
It was kind of like a do what I say and ask no questions because you don't get to have the information.
Yes, that is a big plot point for me. Was all Holdo had to do was tell Poe the plan. Did Poe need to know the plan? No, but you saw how Poe is.
Yeah.
You should have told him, and some people will say it's not good to
or even just talk to him, be like, "Hey, here's the thing. I've got a plan. It's okay. Here's what's gonna go down."
Don't talk down to people.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing that you can do as a leader. Never.
Except Leia can do it,
but she does it in a sassy way.
Yeah,
Holdo,
she's perfect,
right? So Holdo to me was just like, I'm in power now. I'm in charge. You're not in charge. I don't like you. Go away.
Kill the engines. Because I'm in charge.
I don't know what that's from.
It's a outtake. Captain America. It's a blooper. Chris Evans.
Oh.
I think it's the Winter Soldier.
Oh, interesting. Because that's my favorite MCU movie.
Yeah, there's a series of outtakes from that movie, and there's cut the engines. Wait for instructions. Because I'm in charge.
That sounds like Chris Evans. But yeah, no, it's got to be Holdo. Just because of I think Laura Dern did great.
Yes.
It's just her
the performance was amazing. I'm just not a fan of the character per se.
I did not like that character. And again, it's okay not to like the character, but you have to separate the actor from the character.
Oh, 100%.
That is my biggest thing, and some people don't understand that.
No. I'm trying to think who my least favorite Star Wars character is. It's gonna come to me like 2 seconds after we end the episode.
Psy Noodles. Psy Snoodles.
Which one is that? I can't.
She's in Max Rebo's band where like she has like the long lips and that.
Yep. That is the most visually disturbing character in all of Star Wars.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
I'd rather look at Jabba the Hutt than that thing. It's so upsetting.
Are you just not a fan of her fluid sack?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of any of that picture. Yeah.
In the original cut of Return of the Jedi, she wasn't animated. She was a puppet, and it was just like.
I wish I could see that instead.
I can
probably be a little less.
I can show
upsetting.
you of what that looks like. It's so funny.
Yeah, I also hate that music. Or her singing, not the rest of just her singing.
Okay.
No, the music is okay. Just her singing is grating on the ears. Yeah, that might actually be my least favorite character. Aside from everybody's least favorite character, Pom Krell, but you know that's a given. You're not original if that's your least favorite. Oh, that is so much better. Still upsetting, but so much better.
Really?
I think so. Maybe I'd have to see it move.
Hang on.
It also just looks so animated into that space. Like it does not fit. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay.
She upsets me.
Okay. She actually tried to take the band from Max. Like.
Well, there you go. More reason to dislike her.
There is a whole like a whole band drama thing of where she tries to take the band from Max Rebo. She like tries to upstage him and she fails and she gets really mad about it. But she stays with the band because she has really nowhere else to go.
Well, she should get kicked out for trying to start a mutiny.
I mean,
that's how pirate ships work.
Right, but Max has such a big heart. He's like, listen, I know you made a mistake. We all do. But I want to get paid. And I want you to stay.
I have a friend like that who just gives people too many chances. He recently made a blacklist. I'm very proud of him.
Oh, that's terrifying.
I'm having a good influence on him.
With that being said, thank you so much for listening this week. We know there was not that much news. So much moose. I just said moose. So much news. But don't worry, we got stuff coming out. On all of our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, all that fun stuff. Just search Star Wars Stuff Podcast. I know every week I go through and like go to Facebook and it's the Star Wars Stuff Podcast page. Go on Instagram, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. Yeah. YouTube, Star Wars Stuff Podcast. Everything is Star Wars Stuff Podcast. You can go to our website, www.starwarsstuffpodcast.com.
Yep. All the links should be there.
All of the links should be there. Our Patreon, Star Wars. Oh man, now I might have to look up that one.
Star Wars Stuff 2187?
Is
or Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187?
We're about to find out.
Who's right?
Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187 on Patreon. We have a lot of cool exclusive stuff on Patreon. And we have the Clone Wars commentaries. Next week's episode, do we want to say the surprise that we're doing, or do we want to keep the surprise?
It's going to look a little different. I'll say that.
Okay, cool. So we are keeping a surprise. Next week's episode, we will reveal the time because we want as many people to see it as possible when we do the live stream for it. So.
And if you're a podcast listener, you might want to listen via YouTube for that one.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll actually be able to put the video on Spotify as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because we do that
Also-
sometimes. It's just more work for David. But
If you are a Patreon subscriber, you can get your Patreon feed in Spotify now.
there you go.
So I
Yeah.
don't know how all that works, but I know you can do it.
Yep. And for those who don't know our schedule, we our episodes come we record on Tuesday and then we also record on Thursdays.
Yes.
So the actual episodes will come to Spotify and Apple Podcasts the day after. So the episodes will actually come out on Wednesday, and then our Thursday episode will actually come out on Friday. But if you want to listen to it early, go on our Patreon, where it's like just like a full out listen, or you can go on YouTube and see our wonderful faces.
We're so pretty.
A little bit. Well, me.
We're so pretty.
Do it.
Okay, I take it back.
All right. With that being said, may the force be with you.
Always.
It's not working.
Da-da!